Welcome to Fierce Feminine Leadership, the success podcast for women in business. Each week, we feature interviews and advice to help you step into your power and lead your way. Now here's your host, women's leadership expert, Eleanor Beaton.
Hello, Fierce Ones. This is Eleanor Beaton, and you are listening to Fierce Feminine Leadership, the success podcast for ambitious women. And welcome to episode number 17. And today we are talking all about how to find your voice, because your voice is one of the sources of your power and your influence. So if you want to become more influential, if you want your ideas to be heard, if you want to increase your income by expanding your influence, you have got to learn how to use your voice. But speaking of having a powerful voice, I am so excited to make the following announcement to you, listeners of Fierce Feminine Leadership. Our podcast has just gained new and noteworthy status on iTunes, which means that of the thousands of podcasts that are released each week, iTunes has recognized Fierce Feminine Leadership as belonging to the top. And I have to thank you, my incredible listeners, subscribers, and especially those of you who have left me an honest review on iTunes. I have to acknowledge you for making that possible. I could not do it by myself. We have an incredible team of people working very hard to make this podcast a reality week after week, to create the best show possible for you. Huge thanks to my team and a huge thanks to you, my listeners. You have so many options, and I am so honored that you have chosen to spend your time with me. So thank you so much. And honestly, if you have not had an opportunity to subscribe to the show and to leave me an honest review on iTunes, I implore you to do so, because here's the thing. We're on New and Noteworthy, but I want to be at the very top of New and Noteworthy. I love to set big challenges for myself. So if you could help me do that, I would be so delighted. All you need to do is subscribe to the show, and please take 5 minutes to leave us an honest review. I so appreciate it. Now, at the end of today's show, I'm going to announce the winner of our April draw for a private coaching session with me. This person qualified for the draw by subscribing to iTunes and then going on and leaving a review. A couple of minutes ago, I took all the reviews we received, drew a name out of the hat. The name is very cool and it's going to surprise you. So stick around to the end of the show and I will announce the lucky winner. And if you, Fierce One, are ready to up-level and you want to take advantage of a free coaching session with me, subscribe to the show, leave a review. Your name will automatically be entered into our May draw, and you might be the winner. Now, speaking of new and noteworthy, and speaking of women's voices, here's what I've noticed. The vast majority of the shows on New and Noteworthy in iTunes are hosted by men. In fact, data from Stitcher Radio suggests that just about 10% of the top podcasts are hosted by women, compared to 80% of the top podcasts which are hosted by men. And then, co-hosts actually balance out the rest of that 100% of the top podcasts. Now, the irony, of course, is that this comes despite the fact that when it comes to the people who are listening to podcasts, women are 50% of that audience. So we host just 10% at best of the top podcasts, but we are half of all podcast listeners. This trend disturbs me because it reflects something that we also see on stage. Recently I met a man who hosts events for entrepreneurs. Literally hundreds of thousands of entrepreneurs attend his events each year. Now, in this case, the majority of his attendees are women. The vast majority of his speakers are men. And he says that he finds it challenging to find women speakers who are willing to come on his event. We hear the same thing with conference organizers who are putting together panels. Much more difficult to find women who are willing to take the time out of their busy days to be panelists at conferences. The bottom line is that when it comes to us as women claiming our power, it starts by finding finding and using your voice. Leadership is based and rooted in our ability to communicate a vision, to communicate a worldview. And I can tell you the world is desperate to hear more from smart women who can really paint a picture of what is possible. But sometimes finding women who are willing to step into their power and tell their stories is a little bit like pulling teeth. Just ask one of my favorite business editors in the world, Don Chafe, who rails, in a good way, rails about how difficult it can be to find women entrepreneurs and women leaders in business who are willing to take the stage, take the spotlight, and share their insights. So we may control 80% of the purchasing power. Our incomes may be poised to hit $18 trillion by 2018. We may be starting businesses at 5 times the rate of men. But when it comes to stepping up and making our voices heard, ladies, we've got some work to do. Now, here are 3 common reasons that women don't speak up. Number 1, sometimes we feel we don't actually have anything to say. Truly, I have talked to brilliant women who literally don't believe that they have anything that interesting to talk about. Number 2, if we do have something to say, we often ask ourselves why anyone would be interested to hear what little old me has to say. And then finally, we are afraid of our own power. If you are at the podium, if you have the conch, to borrow from the Lord of Flies, then you've got the power. And as women, there are thousands of years of social conditioning that have taught us to fear our own power and to be highly skeptical of powerful women. But the truth is that finding and developing your voice and your point of view is a process. You may feel that you don't have anything to say. You may worry that people aren't interested in what you have to say. And you may fear the power that comes from having a strong voice. But learning those skills, developing your voice, developing that worldview, that is a process. So you might not have incredible confidence in your abilities yet, but if you put in the work, I assure you, you will not only develop your confidence to speak, but you will be offering the world an incredible gift, which is the insight that only you can provide. And as the statistics I shared with you earlier say, women are consuming information, and that information is being put out in the world disproportionately by men. This is not a knock against guys. They're putting it out there. And guess what, ladies? We've got to put it out there too. And that's what this podcast is really all about. So, finding and developing your voice and your point of view is a process that takes practice. In the same way that you can't train for a marathon simply by thinking about it, you cannot find your voice by thinking about it either. You've got to practice using your voice. So today I've got 3 really simple strategies that you can start implementing today with very little added effort that will help you to start finding your unique voice and your unique point of view. And there is nothing more powerful in terms of helping you dial up your influence so that you can smash your glass ceiling and really take your seat at the tables where the big deals and the big decisions get done than having a strong, powerful voice and using it. So here's how you find your voice. Number 1, I want you to start commenting on blogs and articles. This is really good for those of you who feel like you might not have anything to say. You're not really sure what your position or your worldview is. Start commenting on blogs. Good way to begin cultivating your voice. If you read an interesting article online, and I know you are, because when it comes to internet usage, women are spending a ton of time on Facebook and on blogs. You read an interesting article online. Here's what I see a lot of women doing. They'll just share it on Facebook. What I want you to do, yes, go ahead, share it on Facebook. But before you do that, go in and leave a comment. Take a few minutes to comment on the blog, saying specifically why you liked it. And here's the bonus. As you begin to do that, you actually begin to develop an online profile as well. In fact, those of you who are entrepreneurs who are trying to develop a following, I know many entrepreneurs who have developed a significant following by going on to comment on, on articles that they're seeing in highly trafficked blogs. But that's kind of secondary. The real reason that we're doing this is because it is the sort of base skill. One of those central skills in using our voice is beginning to really develop our ideas. And a great way to do that is to respond to articles and blogs that you read that kind of pique your interest. Don't just share it without weighing in. Weigh in. Tell us why you like it. Taking the time to reflect on why things appeal to you is how you begin to refine and communicate your world view. Now, for some of you, commenting publicly on a blog is just not your thing. That's okay. There is an alternative, and that is to send the article to someone you admire and then tell them why you think it's valuable and why you're sending it to them. Now, this does double duty. Number one, you're demonstrating that you have a voice, and number two, you're building your network. And in fact, some of the most influential power networkers that I know, every once in a while, they'll be sending me an article saying, hey, Eleanor, I think you should read this because X, Y, Z. And it helps me get what their worldview is. And it also helps to build our relationship. So number one, start commenting on blogs, whether you're doing that publicly or sharing it with a friend or a colleague and commenting in your share to them. All right. Don't just do the random shares. Weigh in. Number two, another quick thing you can do. So as I established earlier, in many conferences that I attend and that are hosted, women are the majority of the attendees. We love to learn. That's one of the reasons why I love working with women. Here's a very simple way that you can practice using your voice at a conference. You want to always ask a question. Okay, so you're listening to a great keynote or a great workshop. There is always time for questions, and you know that there's always those sort of 2 awkward minutes where no one has a question. And as soon as the first person asks the question, then that kind of breaks the ice, and you'll get a whole bunch of question askers. I challenge you to be the first question asker the next time. All right, this is brilliant. You don't have to state an opinion, but you are practicing the power of standing up and making your voice heard, and you're demonstrating that you have the courage to do that, and you're making it safe for other people to do that. It's a very powerful thing to do, so I invite you. The next time you're at a conference, I want you to stand up and be the first question asker. Now, this means, of course, that you're going to be listening to the material in a different way because you know that you have to engage. You can't just be a passive participant in the audience. You know that you've made the challenge to yourself that you are going to engage deeply enough that you can get up and ask a question. So, number 2, always ask a question at a conference. Number 3, I want you to start paying closer attention to the material that fascinates you. So when I am working with senior executives and entrepreneurs who are thought leaders and are really looking to develop a personal brand around their thought leadership, I advise them and I work with them to identify their controlling idea. So a controlling idea is simply a central area of focus, a topic that you can become known for. My controlling idea is that there is an opportunity for women to step into our power even more, and that by women stepping into our power, we're going to create very positive change for ourselves, our families, our communities in the world. That's my controlling idea, and almost everything that I speak about or do in my business relates to that controlling idea. When you have a controlling idea, it helps you to become known for something, it helps you to develop expertise around a specific topic, and it helps other people kind of position you and understand what you're all about. So take that a step deeper. The most powerful voices are those that combine the personal with the universal. It's sort of the art of tying your particular opinion into a larger conversation, and that's what great speakers do. They know their controlling idea, and then they're telling personal stories or giving useful statistics or telling interesting historical stories that relate to that controlling idea. Here's the thing, you can't force that connection. It's got to be genuine. You can't force your controlling idea. It's like a wave. It gathers from within itself. So here's how you discover what your controlling idea is. I want you to start paying attention to the articles, the interviews, the videos, the conversation topics that most intrigue you. You will start to see a common thread, and that common thread is going to be your material. That's your topic. You know, I didn't just wake up one day and decide that I was going to become an expert in women's leadership. It was very organic. And what I realized was that I actually had reams of statistics about women in business. Every time I saw an article about a powerful woman in business, I would stop to read it and I would usually clip it. And I had these reams of data before I became an expert in this field. It was, in fact, my fascination that led me here. So number 3, pay attention to the material that fascinates you. So if you are a woman who is looking to dial up your influence by really beginning to use your voice with confidence to speak up, 3 easy ways you can do that. Number 1, start commenting on blogs. Don't just share, weigh in. Number 2, always ask questions at conferences. And number 3, pay attention to the material that fascinates you, because that is going to help you understand and identify your controlling idea. And this is really critical when it comes to building a personal brand around your thought leadership. And that's a good idea whether you're an entrepreneur who sells services or expertise, or you're working within an organization and you need to establish your expertise, or you're working in the nonprofit sector or in government and you are really looking to lobby to make positive change. You've got to know what your controlling idea is so that people can associate you with something. Those are my 3 tips. My big invitation for you is to get out there and start using your voice. To conclude, I want to announce the winner of this month's private coaching session with me. And this is so ironic. Fierce Feminine Leadership. This is the Success Podcast for ambitious women. It's also the Success Podcast for the very smart dudes who love us. And I am very thrilled to announce that the winner of the very first private coaching session with me, as a reward and as a thank you and a token of my huge appreciation for leaving a review, is Vlad Setkovich. That's it, ladies. The winner of the Fierce Feminine Leadership private coaching session is a dude. Vlad Setkovich. Thank you so much, Vlad. Please reach out to us. Send us an email at fierce@eleanorbeaton.com and we're going to get you scheduled in. And finally, speaking of powerful voices, I wanted to let you know about a very special training that I'm going to be doing this month. This is for you if you are a thought leader who sells your expertise and you are ready to position yourself as a recognized expert in your field. So if you're a thought leader who sells your expertise, if you want to position yourself as a recognized expert in your field, this is really useful for entrepreneurs, for coaches, for consultants. If this is you, I want to invite you to a very special free training webinar I'm offering this month called The 3 Stories You Must Tell in order to become a globally recognized expert, attract influential clients, and double your sales in 12 months. So this is a very entrepreneurially focused webinar. I'm going to be teaching you the 3 stories you must tell in order to not just be the expert, but position yourself as the expert. And I'm going to show you why so many women coaches, consultants, and service providers struggle to replace their corporate salaries. I'm going to share the 3 stories you must tell in order to command respect, clients, and high fees as an expert in your field. I'm going to give you a behind-the-scenes look at how I have earned a significant income as a global thought leader from my base in small-town Canada. And I'm going to teach you the exact sales and marketing structures you need in order to build a multiple 6-figure business as a coach, consultant, or service provider. And ladies, this training webinar is coming from some significant frustrations that I have, that over the last 10 years, women have started more businesses than ever before. We're starting businesses at 5 times the rate of men. However, our overall share of revenues and jobs created has stayed stagnant. So we're starting more businesses than ever, but we are not contributing more in terms of revenues and job creation. There are some of you who would say that bigger isn't always better, and that's true. I totally agree. But I must say, I think there's a huge opportunity for women entrepreneurs to really dial things up, to embrace change, to embrace sales and marketing, and really ensure that we are supporting our customers and that our voices are getting out there in a bigger way. And that's what this training is all about. To register, you can go to eleanorbeaton.com/stories that sell. So eleanorbeaton.com/stories that sell. Go ahead and register for this webinar. It's happening May 18th. eleanorbeaton.com/stories that sell. Thank you so much for listening, Fierce Ones. I so appreciate it. Get on out there and cultivate and use that voice and share the incredible gifts that only you have. Thank you so much for listening. And until next time, stay fierce.
Come on.
Thank you for listening to Fierce Feminine Leadership. Be sure to head over to iTunes and subscribe to the show. While you're there, leave us a fierce review. When you leave a review, your name is automatically entered into a monthly draw. Each month, we'll draw one reviewer to automatically receive a private coaching session with women's leadership expert Eleanor Beaton. So remember, head over to iTunes and subscribe to the show. Then leave us a review for your chance to win a private coaching session with Eleanor Beaton. Go to eleanorbeatonpodcast.com and sign up to get your free cheat sheet, The 5 Critical Leadership Skills of 7-Figure Businesswomen. This free download will help you diagnose the exact skills you need to see major growth in your business and career. Head over to eleanorbeatonpodcast.com and get your free download today.